Hi, my name is Tammy. I am adopted, originally from China. I never met my biological mom and dad. When I was only a baby, my adoptive parents flew all the way to my home village. They're both journalists and were writing stories about my home village. My mom told me that she found me abandoned in a small crate next to a tree. The moment she saw me, she felt like I was her daughter. So she did. And a few weeks later, I moved to America with them. Growing up, my parents were really caring. We celebrated birthdays, Christmas. We went on fun holidays. There was only one thing that I felt was a bit off about my parents. They were very secretive about this one room in the house. My mom put a strong padlock on the door and I was never allowed inside. When I was about 6 years old, I spotted my dad coming out of the room, drenched in a red substance. When I asked him about it, he said that he was experimenting with something for work, so I just forgot about it. A few years later, when I was about 8 years old, something really strange happened. One night, while laying in bed, I heard a tapping sound coming from the room. I put my ear against the door. The tapping sound was coming from inside, and it sounded like a girl singing. I made sure my parents weren't awake, and I turned the doorknob. Surprisingly, it was unlocked, so I entered. There was a big white sheet hanging from the ceiling. It seemed like it was covering a bed. The girl's singing became louder. Just as I was about to pull the sheet away, my parents were screaming, "Tammy, what did we say? You're not allowed in here!" They yanked me out of the room and put me back into bed. My dad explained that it was a research project for his job. I pretended to fall asleep, and my mom told my dad, "She's getting curious. We need something to keep her occupied." The next morning, the room was completely empty, as if nothing was ever there. That morning at breakfast, my parents announced that they were going to adopt a boy, and he was moving into that room. And he did, that night. We became a happy family. I really loved my new brother. We did everything together. On my 15th birthday, he got me a key-shaped pendant necklace. Since then, I've never taken it off. It was like I completely forgot about that mysterious room. A few days after my birthday, my mother came rushing into my room. "Did you see someone running through the house?" She was hysterical. At first, I thought she was making a joke. I laughed, but then realized she was serious. No," I said. My mother jumped in her car and drove off. This was so weird. No one else was home, so I went downstairs to the basement to start folding the laundry. That is when I spotted an open door. Usually the big cupboard would be pushed against the wall, but for some reason it was moved away, revealing an opening. The open door led to a small bedroom. I was in total shock. Inside was a bed, bedside table, drawings, girl clothes, and a few toys. Was someone living in here? I was so scared that I ran to my bedroom. A few hours later, my mom came rushing back into the home. I could hear someone screaming, "Let me go! Let me go!" I could hear my mom saying, "Hush now, it's for the best." And then there was silence. Around the dinner table that night, everyone was quiet. My mom and dad were looking at each other, and my brother was trying to lift the mood by making jokes. "Knock, knock. Who's there?" "Hatch." "Hatch who?" "Bless you." And we all laughed. I waited for everyone to fall asleep, and then I slowly made my way into the basement. The cupboard was moved back against the wall. As quietly as I possibly could, I moved the cupboard. There was the door, but it was locked. I stood there with my hand on my pendant. And then I got an idea. I took my key-shaped pendant and tried opening the lock, and it worked. Inside the room, a dim light was shining. There was someone sleeping in the bed. With a whimpering voice, I said, "Hello?" The person in the bed woke up in a fright. "Who are you?" she said, and put on her bedside light. I am you." It was as if I was looking into a mirror. The girl in front of me looked exactly like me. For a few minutes, we were completely stunned just looking at each other. We started talking and realized that we had the same birthday. It was clear that this girl was my twin sister. I didn't want my parents to know that I figured it out, so every night for the next few months, I would visit Eliza. I would tell her everything about the outside world and school. I finally understood what a twin connection felt like. We had the same way of speaking, moving, and we even had the same preference for fashion. On our 16th birthday, during my birthday party, I sneakily took some cake to her. I asked her if she had a wish. "I wish I could live one day in your shoes," and she blew out the candle. I suggested that she went upstairs as me, Tammy. We changed clothes, and she went upstairs. and everyone started singing happy birthday. No one realized that it wasn't really me, not even my parents. Since our 16th birthday, we would swap places a lot more. Eliza was a genius. Once she even went to school like me. Our maths teacher wrote a difficult equation on the board. Eliza put up her hand to try it out. "Tammy, are you sure you want to give this a go?" the teacher asked. "Yes, I'm sure." And Eliza got it right. Everybody cheered. We agreed that Eliza would do academics at school, and I would do sports and social. At the school's weekly football match, I cheered, and a boy, Sam, caught my eye. He blew a kiss at me. After the game, he asked me out, and we went on a date. Eating ice cream, he kissed me on the cheek and asked me to be his girlfriend. Rushing home, I couldn't wait to tell Eliza, but her reaction was strange. "Oh, Sam? Football star Sam?" She was getting really angry. "Why do you want to date him? He's a total jerk." "Do you even know him?" I yelled back. "Don't forget, we live the same life, Tammy. Your boyfriend is my boyfriend, and your life is my life. Be careful." I pushed Eliza back into her room and locked the door. I didn't go visit her for a few weeks. I saw my mom sneak food into the basement, but they had no idea that I knew their well-kept secret. Sam and I were madly in love. He took me out to dinner one night and gave me a heart-shaped necklace. "It's beautiful. I love it." I removed my key pendant that my brother gave me, and Sam put my new necklace around my neck. We kissed and hugged each other. "I think I'm going to marry you one day, Tammy." I missed Eliza so much and really wanted to tell her about Sam. So that night I went into the basement. As I unlocked the door, I started crying. "I'm so sorry I left you in here for so long." She looked at me with a blunt look on her face. "Don't worry, Tammy. I understand. We're sisters. I can never stay mad at you." She walked towards me and gave me a hug. Then she pushed me onto her bed. My key pendant fell on the floor. She laughed and said, "Have a great time, sis." Then she locked me inside the hidden bedroom and disappeared. I screamed and bashed my fists on the door, but my parents had soundproofed it. No one could hear me. My mom came into the room that night. "Hello, Eliza." I jumped and ran to her. "Mom, it's me, Tammy. Eliza locked me inside this room. Please, let me out." My mom slapped me across the face. "Stop trying to get out of here, Eliza. You know it's better for you to stay inside." I cried, but my mom didn't believe me. My mom would visit me every night thinking that I was Eliza. "What's wrong with Eliza?" I asked my mom after a few weeks. "Eliza, you're not mentally stable. You know this. You attempted to hurt your sister many times before when you were younger. It was better to keep the two of you apart." Oh no, my loving sister was a total psycho. I accepted the fact that I might never see the light of day again. Even if I screamed and explained, my mom still didn't believe me. On our 17th birthday, Eliza finally visited me. She was wearing a black hoodie, black pants, and had loads of makeup on. "Let's swap clothes," she demanded. I did as she told me. "Go upstairs, Tammy. Enjoy your life." I was so happy to have my life back that I ran upstairs without asking questions. This year, there wasn't a birthday party. I ran to my bedroom. What had she done to my room? She painted the walls black and it looked like a graveyard. "Brother?" I went into my brother's room. He wasn't there. "Mom!" I ran downstairs. "Where's Max?" My mom was crying. "Tammy, your brother was hurt. Someone has hurt him." "What? When?" "Down by the park. A stranger hit him over the head with a blunt object. No one saw anything." The next day at school, everybody was looking at me. They were whispering and pointing at me. I thought it was because of what had happened to Max. I saw Sam. I missed him so much. I ran up to him and wanted to give him a kiss. "Don't you ever come near me again, Tammy!" And he shoved me out of the way. As I entered the classroom, my teacher said, "Tammy, another exam failed? You've really disappointed me." Eliza had completely destroyed my life. No one would talk to me. I wasn't part of the cheerleading squad anymore, and apparently, I've dropped out of all of my sports teams. I cried in my bed that night. Then I felt something hard underneath the pillow. It was a rock. It was used to hurt someone. Did Eliza hurt Max too? I couldn't take this torture from Eliza anymore. I ran downstairs to confront her, but her room was gone. The door was now closed, and in its place was a wall. They never found the person who hurt Max. And luckily, everything went back to normal at school. Sam and I even made up, and he told me that he still wants to marry me. Even after asking my parents about Eliza, they never told me the truth, and were still pretending that she never existed. Sam and I moved away from our hometown to start a new life somewhere else. He was the only one that believed my story about Eliza. Some days it feels like Eliza's watching me. Even when I'm walking in a shopping mall and my eyes catch my reflection in a mirror, I gasp because I think it's her. I don't know what happened to her. Sam and I would move around quite a lot in fear that Eliza would find us and destroy our relationship again, like she did in the past. One holiday, Sam and I went to visit my parents. I spotted a letter on their counter from a mental institution. Turns out Eliza was permanently admitted and was being cared for under strict supervision. Sam and I could finally relax and start our own family. And guess what? I found out today that I'm pregnant with twins.
I made sure that my tryouts went great. When Ron, the basketball team captain, passed me the ball, I made sure to not lose it until I reached the paint area. My dad always told me that a winning team needs players who work well together. It wasn't about showing everyone how well I could shoot, assist, or rebound. It's not about being a star. It's about being a team player. Ron was impressed, I have to admit. Even if I was just a freshman, it was obvious that I wasn't just the best shooter in the tryouts. I was also working well with the other team members. But there was one guy named Jasper. I could tell he didn't like me. "Shorty wants to shoot," he yelled. "Let's see if that shrimpy can jump." So I showed him. I showed all of them. When the list finally came out, my name was on top. Michael, reserve point guard. My dad was so proud. Every time he had to clean up the school corridors, he told me that he would always look up to read my name. He wanted to tell everyone that I was his son. I wanted him to, but he told me it'd be better if no one knew about it. That's because I go to a private school that has an amazing sports program. My dad hoped that I'd get picked up by an agent by the time I graduate. Meanwhile, he didn't want me to be teased because he was just a janitor in the school. I really didn't mind. If my dad was proud of me, I was more proud of him. He worked hard to put food on the table. My dad's an honest man. He's very pleased with his job, since the children of the staff can go there for free. On the day the tryout results came out, my dad wanted to prepare a special dinner for us. While he was cooking, I looked around our tiny house. The paint was peeling from the walls. There was only one bedroom with my dad's lumpy bed flushed to the side. I slept on the sofa that was right beside the kitchen stove. My dad was so excited that he splattered oil all over the hot stove. When I came over to help him clean it up, he suddenly yelled, "Don't use that rag!" Too late. The rag in my hand passed over the open flame and caught fire. I quickly dropped it in the sink. "That's the rag I used to clean up the science lab." My dad was still shouting. Then he laughed. I laughed too. Although we almost burned our tiny place down, we had a fantastic meal that night. All right, it was burnt sausage and mushy eggs, but my dad and I laughed and made plans for the future. "Just 4 more years, son," he told me with bright eyes. "I'm sure an agent will snatch you right away and we'll have a better life." He was so hopeful. But when I look at my dad now, 6 months into the school year, I can't even recognize him anymore. He's not old at all, but his back is bent like an old man. Being a janitor in my school is a lot of hard work. Most of the kids at school were rich. They were used to having people pick up after them. They toss junk in the trash can, but most of the time it falls on the floor. They leave dirty trays with leftover food in the cafeteria and never think to drop the trash in the bins along the wall. There's really no point in putting mats by the front door because nobody really wipes their muddy feet before going in. By the time all the kids have gone home for the day, the school looks like a war zone. And my poor dad is the one who has to clean it up. But admittedly, it wasn't all that bad before Jasper knew about us. During the initiation for the team newbies, Jasper thought it would be fun to break into the staff room. He told us to move all the things on one table to a different one. "Follow me," Jasper whispered to the team. We crept through the pitch-black school and went to the staff room. Jasper managed to pick the lock. I was nervous and sweating the whole time. I didn't want to get kicked out. I just got here. "I don't think this is a very good idea," I told Jasper. Even Ron agreed with me. "Come on, man, don't be such a whiner," Jasper replied. "They're not going to expel us because we have a shot at winning nationals this year. Come on, are you all sissies?" As much as I tried to be quick and quiet about it, the rest of the team wasn't. We made a lot of noise. Eventually, we got caught by the night janitor. He called the principal, who called our parents. That's when everybody found out that I was the janitor's son. "Michael," the principal said with a slow shake of his head, "I expected better from you. I thought that this school meant more to you and your father. Thankfully, we all got off easy with just detention for a week. My dad looked at me and I knew immediately that he understood. I just wanted to fit in. On our way out, Ron's dad's wallet fell to the floor. My dad picked it up and handed it back. "Sir, I believe you dropped this," he said with a smile. Ron's dad took it back and said thanks. But Jasper had the nerve to call out, "Hey, it's a good thing that we're here. Michael's dad didn't steal it because we were all watching. I bet he wanted to steal all the money from your wallet and maybe sell the wallet too." My dad's face turned red and I wanted to turn around and punch Jasper in the face. But my dad restrained me. "This is why I didn't want you to tell them who I am," he softly said, but I think Ron and his dad heard it too. After that day, Jasper just got meaner in school. Every day, he made the biggest mess he could make. He overturned trash cans. He moved the desks and tables around. He poured juice on the floor. He even emptied the chalk box on the teacher's table. "We've got to make sure that the janitor earns every cent of his pay," he would say maliciously. "We're not running a charity here." And every day, it would be my dad's job to clean up after him. "Don't mind him so much," Ron said to me a week after. "He's jealous and worried that we might make you starting five." I tried not to mind Jasper, but I knew how hard my dad had worked. So I just decided to play ball and give it everything I've got, just to show Jasper that I deserve to be in this school and on the team. One weekend, Ron had a party at his house. It was great. His dad even showed us his sword collection. A few of us stayed after the party to help clean up. But the next day, Ron asked everyone on the team, "Did any of you touch a Japanese sword with engravings in gold?" It went missing after the party. Ron wasn't even looking at me, but Jasper was. "If there's a thief in the room, we all know who it is. Michael's the only one who really needs the money around here." I was shocked by his words. How dare he put the blame on me? "Hey," I finally answered back, "it's true that I'm the janitor's son. It's true that we're poor. At least we're honest." But Jasper just laughed. What I didn't know was that the rest of the team was starting to hate Jasper almost as much as I did. 2 days later, we were surprised to see Ron's dad there. "I know who stole my sword," he said with a growl. "I would like you all to come with me to act as witnesses." We followed him, looking confused. He met the principal first, who took out a bunch of keys from his drawer. My dad was mopping outside the principal's office. "Excuse me, sir," Ron's dad told him. "Could you come with us, please?" My dad gave me a puzzled look, but he followed. We all went to the lockers, and the principal stopped in front of locker 55. "Hey," Jasper suddenly called out, "what do you think you're doing? That's my locker." The principal didn't say anything, but Ron's dad turned around to stare at Jasper. "I know you were the one who took it," he said. "I know that you were planning to plant it in Michael's locker. I heard you saying that you were planning to get him and his dad kicked out of this school." Jasper tried to protest, but the rest of the team suddenly piped in. "Yeah," said Greg, "that was the plan. He said that he was going to plant the sword in Michael's locker after practice today," added Peter. "That's not true. These jerks are just pulling your leg," Jasper stuttered. But the principal had already opened his locker. There, in the very back, behind the school books and varsity jacket, was the Japanese sword, propped up beside an old pair of sneakers. "I don't know how it got there," Jasper protested. "Michael's dad probably put it there himself. He's the janitor and he can open our lockers." "No," replied the principal. "I'm the only one with the master key, and I take it home with me every day." "You can't do anything to me," Jasper yelled as a last resort. "You need me on the team. We have a game tomorrow." An hour later, Jasper's parents arrived. They spent 30 minutes shouting and yelling. When it was finished, Jasper was expelled. Our practice went on into the night. Ron had to make a lot of changes in the game plan because Jasper was no longer with us. "You're playing tomorrow," Ron said. "You can do it." Too much drama was happening, both on and off the court. But the next day, I had to get my game face on. It was a brutal game. I did my best to give Ron a clear shot every time he went for the basket. The game was tied with 5 seconds to go. I was the only one in the paint. Ron was being guarded by 2 players. "Hey, Michael," he shouted and passed me the ball. I caught it. The clock was ticking. I had to make the shot. Suddenly, I couldn't hear anything anymore, except for my heart beating. I jumped. The ball left my hands, spinning slowly. All eyes followed its arc through the air. Everyone held their breath. When I heard it swoosh through the basket, all the noise of the court came back. The stands exploded with cheers. I did it! We won! Everyone on the team came at me grinning, shouting, and crying. Then my dad was there too. We trooped back to the changing rooms, still jumping for joy. Then my dad and I came face to face with Ron's dad. "Great play, Michael," he said, clapping me on the shoulder. Then he shook my dad's hand. Hello, I'm George, Ron's father. I don't believe we've been formally introduced. You've got an honest and responsible son. I can see where he gets it from. I'm going to get straight to the point. I'm a busy man. I need an assistant. More than anything, I need an honest worker who's a great team player. Can I offer you the job? My jaw dropped. I saw them shaking hands. I also saw the principal looking at them with a proud smile on his face. In just a few weeks, our lives totally changed. My dad wasn't a janitor anymore. We moved to a bigger place. The paint wasn't peeling off the walls. I even got my own room. But let's not forget where we came from, he said, and I nodded. No matter what happens, my dad's still a hard-working and honest